Can fans ruin something? Can they ruin a property? Can we ruin anime or manga or comics? There's a lot of people saying that now. There's articles being written about how toxic fandom is ruining a property. Is that true? Is it possible? I don't think so, and I want to explain why. Hey everybody, this is Perch. It's quite common, I think, for people they get an idea stuck in their head and then they repeat it over and over and over. And this is the case with the phrase toxic fandom, which is just continuing to be the thing to talk about, the thing everybody just wants to grind over and over and over on. And I'm waiting for the day when people get exhausted and they move on to the next buzzword. It seems like we've lived with this one for a while. But in short, the idea is toxic fandom, which is a very nebulous description. But it's basically people. Well, I'm going to try and define it. A lot of people have disagreements, but it's people disagreeing with the direction of a comic, a movie, or a property. It can be as simple as that. I have watched encounters where people, creators or people related to the company. You see this a lot with anime. Will say things like, a fan will say something like, "I really didn't like this episode," and a response came back from a voice actor of, here's another example of toxic fandom." I'm like, man, that's the lightest weight criticism I think I've ever seen for a property, and yet we're quickly slapping that toxic fandom label on it. And much like block bots and a couple other things, I think when you slap somebody with a label, it just generates the problem that you're trying to stop. It makes people mad. Nobody likes to hear their critique is toxic fandom. They want to just have a comment. And in general, if you think about comics, I mean, we'll stick to comics, but it's there have been issues people like and issues people don't like, forever. If you go back and even look at the letter pages, you'll see, Marvel's curated letters for a comic talk about, I like this storyline, I really didn't like that storyline, I don't like that supporting character, but I do like this other character. You'll see people saying things like that. And you'll see a response kind of the, hey, sorry we can't win them all, true believers, but we'll try harder next time. It's a very kind of innocuous back and forth banter. I always felt like the letter pages within Marvel and DC and other places, I always felt like they were somewhat pointless. I mean, the letters were, very, very curated to be, non-controversial, no real hard opinions on anything, no real, sneaky questions, and no real answers. Like, you'd see a fan ask something like, will we ever get to see Gambit again in X-Men? And an answer like, you never know, it could be sooner than you think. It's like, that's not an answer. That's a nothing thing. But anyway, that was the predecessor to toxic fandom. It was people saying, I don't like something. And then kind of two things happened. You had people get louder and more aggressive with their dislike. Not everybody, but you certainly had some people who were no longer content to say, I really don't like this character. Instead, they want to say, this character is another blatant attempt of blah, 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 blah by a fascist writer. You get all this really intensity to the critique. And so that's step one. And then step two, you saw a lot of kind of backlash, whereas instead of the 1980s, 1990s, sorry, true believer, we'll try harder next time. You see more of a, you're a Nazi as a response. And so neither is helpful. And both pieces play into this larger problem. But now, and so for a while we lived with there's toxic fandom. We've got to ignore toxic fandom. Then we've got to stop toxic fandom. And then we've got to excise toxic fandom with some kind of, magical content scalpel that we're going to get rid of all these people. And now we finally settled on toxic fandom is ruining properties. Toxic fandom ruined Star Wars. Toxic fandom ruined My Hero Academia, ruined all these other things. And to that point, to its next evolutionary state, toxic fandom can't ruin anything for you as a viewer. If you are basically picking up the Avengers and you're reading the Avengers and you like the Avengers, no problem. If you pick up Miss Marvel once a month and you like that story, you like that character, you like the creator, you liked Wilson, now you like Ahmet, you like the people on the book, you're happy. Problem solved. I mean, there is no problem. There's not problem solved. There's no problem in the first place. And that's a good thing. Toxic fandom or critique or negativity or however you want to put it, it doesn't need to ruin a single thing for you because it's very easy for you to turn it off. I think one of the problems with social media is and it's created as this, is that it gives you the impression that you can't get rid of it. That once you let it into your life, once you put it into your house, once you engage with it, that your life will be altered in a negative way if you ever step back, if you ever say, you know what, I don't like what Twitter is doing. I think I will get off Twitter. There's this whole feeling like, you are going to suddenly be losing part of your life. A lot of people are unplugging from Facebook right now, either because it's a gigantic waste of time or for political reasons, or they don't like Zuckerberg or whoever knows. But Facebook has started to put out this message of, you're going to lose your friends. Your life's not going to be as good. You realize that unplugging Facebook means bad things for you. It doesn't. It's just a tool. Social media is a way to communicate. It either works for you, it doesn't. You get something out of it, or you don't, and you can just shut it off. Right now, you're listening to me on YouTube. You could just shut off YouTube and not ever engage with it again. Never click on another video. Might take some self-control, but you can do it. You're not forced to go to YouTube. You're not forced to listen to my channel. You're not forced to subscribe. Please subscribe to Comics by Perch. It's very much appreciated. But you're not forced to do any of this stuff. It's up to you. So if you find yourself watching Star Wars and then you find yourself going to Twitter and you see all the people like, I hate Rey, Mary Sue, Kylo Ren, shippers, all that kind of stuff, and it makes you crazy. You may be like, stop, unplug, turn it off. It's very easy to get yourself out of it. Now, I will say this. You ever heard the expression, once you've thought a thought, you can't unthink it? There is some truth to that. Once you've exposed yourself to a bunch of kind of random nonsense, positive or negative, it sticks in your brain. It formulates your opinions of how other things work. And so it's not necessarily so easy. If you decide to spend 6 hours listening to videos about, Mary Sue Ray and the SJW infiltration of Star Wars and all the rest, you can shut it off and be done with it. But some of that remnant is going to still be in your head. You're still going to have these thoughts. It's still going to come to you. Now, the good news is, if you just keep things shut off, it will go away rather quickly. It will not last. And so the correct response is, if you feel like social media or criticism or critique or toxic fandom is ruining something for you, stop. And it may take a little bit of a detox time, but eventually that will fade and you'll be back to, enjoying the things you enjoy. I think the big myth here is that, and I've read an article recently about My Hero Academia and how they're toxic fans. And to be honest, I have not gone to look. My children love My Hero Academia. I think it's a great series. I really like what they've done there. I don't know what quote unquote toxic fandom means for My Hero Academia. Are people perving on Uraraka? Is it is there Deku Midoriya shippers out there? I don't know what the toxic fandom part is, but I haven't engaged with it, so I'm free. But I enjoy the series. Even if I went onto Twitter or Reddit or watched YouTube videos, whatever it happens to be, and I saw a bunch of just angry, vile hatred toward My Hero Academia, it might influence and bother me. But if I stopped engaging with it, if I just let it go, muted words, block people who can't shut up about it, exert my own self-control and just not click on the videos, you'll go back to remembering the things you love. Maybe the next time you turn on My Hero Academia, you have that image in your head of, steamy hot springs action between Midoriya and Deku. I don't know, but don't worry. You watch 1 or 2 episodes, you read a couple chapters of the manga, whatever it happens to be, that will fade, and you'll be back to enjoying whatever it is you enjoyed. The elephant in the room is, if people are enjoying Star Wars less than they used to 20 years ago, the problem is probably not social media and toxic fandom. It's probably because the product that is currently being served is not to the taste of people. That I had this argument with someone who's saying, well, Star Wars has always been the same. It hasn't changed from the very first movie back in the 70s to Solo, a Star Wars story. It's the same quality, same Star Wars, and if you liked it then, you are 100% guaranteed to like it now. And none of that, no part of that is true. Tastes change as you age. You may have grown out of it. You may decide you like different things. But also the quality of story making of first Star Wars and whatever magic it possessed, good or bad, is maybe not present in Solo, a Star Wars story, or The Last Jedi, or Rise of Skywalker, or whatever it happens to be. Maybe the new films are just not as good as the old films, or maybe they are, as good, because good is subjective, but they're appealing to different sensibilities. The point is, it's not the same movie. It's not the same theme. It's not pulling on the same kind of emotional or mental strings inside your head as the first three movies did, or the second three movies did. They all have differences in how they've been produced. And so very, very naturally, you're going to like one movie over another. I mean, guess what? Most Star Wars fans like Empire Strikes Back more than A New Hope. Does that mean that A New Hope is trash? Does that mean that when Return of the Jedi came out and people didn't like it as much as Empire Strikes Back, that the people who didn't like it are toxic fans? I mean, of course not. It just means that a movie was made, and for whatever reason, it appealed to different sensibilities. You could make lots of arguments, lots of ways to try and explain why it didn't appeal to the same way, but maybe the writing wasn't as good, maybe the filming wasn't as good, maybe the acting wasn't as good, maybe the plot wasn't as good, maybe the threats weren't as good. Who knows? There's a lot of different reasons. The key here, though, is that the new movies are different from the old movies, undeniably different. And if you don't like the new movies, but you did like the old movies, that doesn't make you a toxic fan. It doesn't mean that the entire franchise was ruined by people who disliked it. It just means things are different. And if you find yourself having something that you really love being impacted by social media or angry critiques or YouTube videos, whatever happens to be, stop. Stop and gravitate back to the things you love. You'll be happier. You'll put a few less pennies in a couple people's pockets who are doing videos. No problem. We can all live without it. Trust me, I won't notice it. I don't have monetization turned on, so frankly, I won't notice if you watch this video 10 million times or 0 times. But other people also won't notice it. Just gravitate to what you love. Don't worry about the rest. And the whole premise that toxic fandom ruins properties and ruins things is garbage. It's a baloney concept, and it's just a way to get clickbait clicks based on the outraged term of the day. That's my opinion anyway. What's yours? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Is toxic fandom ruining the things you love? I want to hear about it. I'm anxious to hear your points. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you can educate me. I'm here to listen. Like, subscribe to my channel. It lets me know you're here. Or if I really piss you off, unsubscribe. It goes both ways. Follow me on Twitter at Perch. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And thanks for listening.